But when I talk with people who are interested in the venture business and they say, well, what's a good path to VC? And first of all, I always say there is no really good path to VC. There isn't. And the really troubling part is that to be a good venture capitalist in some ways, you need to be a good technologist. You have to understand technology, underlying technology, and how things are moving. You need to be a futurist and kind of have a sense of what all these trends might hold in the future. You have to be, you do have to understand finance. You have to be, an operator and understand. But you also have to be a really good people person. You have to understand people. You have to have a sense of people because they make such a big difference. They can make, great people can turn bad businesses into good businesses, and bad people can turn good businesses into bad businesses. And so I always say, like, the best possible thing you could do is to go study psychology and psychiatry or whatever, understanding people. And so this question of how do you find great people is such a tricky one, right? And I think that it's so affected by our own biases, right? We want to work with people we like, and yet are people we like really the right people for our business? And the answer to a certain degree, I have to say, is yes. In the end, every company has a very clear and specific culture. And if it doesn't, something has gone wrong. If you walk into your company and you say, oh, this is how I can't think of how I've described this culture, or it doesn't feel any different from any other place or whatever, then it's not working, right? Because the companies that I've gone to that I've invested in that have been the most successful, when you walk into them, they have a very particular feel. When you meet someone, you go, oh, this person would be great for Bill.com because I know that this person is like that group of people or whatever. It's a little bit, I've been going through the college process. My oldest is going off to college next year. I have a junior. So you go and you visit all these colleges and you find out that they feel different. It turns out that they describe themselves differently. They feel different. You talk to the students, they're different. And you say, oh, my kid is a good fit for this one or not, right? And the same is true of company culture. And so, when you're interviewing people, you should have a clear sense of your company and what you're trying to build. And then you can say, oh, this person is a good fit for what we're trying to do. And truthfully, there isn't a culture that's a good culture, right? There are hyper-aggressive cultures that have been wonderfully successful. There are very laid-back, thoughtful cultures that have been successful. They're all, there's everything in between. So it's not like there's a culture to build, but when you decide what you're building and what it feels like and the kinds of people, then be true to your culture, be true to yourself, hire those people. Because, if you have a culture that is, that's very salesy, and then you hire someone who is not that, is much more, kind of laid back and technical and whatever else, they won't fit in, and the people will be, and vice versa, right? So, the other thing I'd say about people, and you learn this when you're trying to hire heads of sales, because it turns out that VPs of sales, even mediocre VPs of sales, are good interviewers. That's their job. They can interview the shit out, And so when you're talking to VPs of sales, you have to figure out, like, how am I going to get to the question of, are you actually good at what you do, or are you just really good at telling me you're good at what you do? And
sorry, David, we've got to.
So from a hiring standpoint, the best thing to do, and this is true of venture investing, and this is true of hiring people, this is true of when you go out and raise money, I always say the same thing, which is, it's not a one-way thing. You should do the work to find out who's coming on your board, because at the end of the day, if it goes well, I've been on the Splunk board now for 9 years. Renee Lacerte, the founder of Bill.com, was the founder of PayCycle. I funded PayCycle in 2001 or 2, which means Renee and I have now been together for 11 years. I just had my 19th anniversary with my wife and my 11th anniversary with Renee Lacerte. And that ratio is going to keep getting smaller. That's Renee and I continue to be in love. So the best thing you can do without a question is talk to people who work with them. Talk to, and ideally people you know who've worked with them in the past, and find out what people are like, and find out how they behave, and find out how they'll behave in circumstances that, that you will likely encounter. Because there's no better understanding of how people will behave than how they've behaved in the past. It's not like they can't change a little, but they won't change a lot.